Welcome to the Dead Wrath podcast. Is it Dead Wrath and Beyond or just Dead Wrath?
I think it could be Dead Wrath because we're missing our Beyond. Dude.
Okay. Our Beyond's not here tonight and it's fine. We love him.
We miss you.
So we're going to do something a little bit different. And I am your host, Tara.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are going to be discussing scary stories, whether it be books, whether it be little excerpts, short stories, of course. Short stories,
I
know.
There's even just paragraphs.
Yes. Oh,
you know what I mean?
Remember those one paragraph scary story or one sentence scary stories online?
Those are scary to me.
So we're going to kind of talk about a few of those. Of course, we all enjoyed Goosebumps growing up. There were scary stories to tell in the dark. I feel like there was another one, Fear Street. Did you ever read those?
I didn't read Fear Street, but when we were little kids, there was that book made by, it was like it was a treehouse book. Do you remember the treehouse? Like that type of brand in school?
The Magic Treehouse?
Yes.
Okay.
But it was like called The Dollhouse Murders or whatever.
It sounds familiar. I never read those, but I definitely have heard of what you're talking about.
Those are spooky.
Oh, this would be a good time to have Matt here to be like, Matt, look that up really quick.
I know. Matt.
No, I've never read those. I do remember getting, it wasn't just, because everyone had the one book of scary stories to tell in the dark or scarier stories. I had the full,
you had the big boy.
I had the big boy with all three put into one. And I was the cool kid in class because of that.
Special edition.
And I started reading those. I remember Harold. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
Harold terrified me because just the visual in my brain of him drawing out a piece of human flesh.
Yes.
As a fifth grader at the time? Like you don't
feel like even younger than that.
Absolutely. Well, people were reading those starting in second or third grade in my school. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I feel like my first one was like third grade.
Yeah, way too young to be thinking about that kind of stuff.
When you go back and read them, you're like, no wonder I was scared reading this as a kid.
Like, this is dark stuff.
I remember being scared, feeling scared, reading those stories.
Goosebumps is definitely a little bit more tame. You know, it's scary, but it's understandable for kids to be reading this mask won't come off your face, or, there's a werewolf in the swamp. Versus like, oh, this thing is a corpse walking through your house in the middle of the night saying it hears you and it's coming up your steps. Two different realms. I feel like Goosebumps is the bridge into scary stories to tell in the dark. But then, of course, after that, you get a little older and you start reading actual books and you kind of get a feel for what you prefer. There's the supernatural, there's the psychological, there's demonic.
In high school, I feel like I don't remember reading any scary books in high school.
Well, you said you didn't really read anything in high school. I guess
not in high school, but as a little kid, we're talking about like Goosebumps. There is a few of those books that I think influenced what I like to read now, like Werewolf of Fever Swamp and things like that.
You brought that up every single time we talk about Goosebumps.
Yes, because to me, like as a little kid, that was spooky, but that type of stuff like didn't scare me, like vampires, monsters. I do remember like the Mask book scaring me, and I think it's just because that was so terrifying. The fact that she couldn't get the mask off her, I think that like formed some anxiety.
It definitely
as a little kid
would have a sense of claustrophobia, I would imagine. How do you think that inspired or impacted your reading now?
Because now when I read books, like I look for, I'm not like a huge fantasy reader. Like, and I know horror can be like fantasy,
right?
But so more of like real life situations, and not so much the mask, but like I'm saying, like her being trapped in it and feeling scared. Like that feeling is scary to me. Like, so reading a book, that gives me that feeling. So that's why I read a lot of like serial killer like stories. Do you know what I mean? Because to me, that's terrifying. That's real life. People really are fucked up like that in the head. So to me, that's terrifying. So when I read a book that's not real life, like let's say I read The Shuddering and that's like a monster. He's like huge, like they're like 8-foot creatures. They don't have any eyes. They have these crazy like sharp teeth. It's a very violent book and it's a very good book. But it didn't scare me and it didn't give me that feeling of like being uncomfortable.
You can kind of separate it from reality.
Yes, like I want to be uncomfortable. When I read a horror
guess
story.
There are different aspects of fear. There's like actual monsters that are tangible, and then there's senses like you're describing right now. That's really fascinating. I didn't even think about that, like classifying fear and like scary stories based on what actually scares you.
Yes.
And like feelings being the scary thing that you're reading about.
Yes. Actually, I chase that feeling.
That's a complaint I have with, I read the Amityville Horror. I take that back. I did not finish it because I thought it was so bad. So I had wanted to read the Amityville Horror for so long, and I went ahead and bought it. I read it last summer. The whole book was lacking description. It was very like, there was a lot of exclamations, and when something was happening, it was like in your face, like boom, it's there. But it didn't, there was no buildup. There was no feelings associated with things. It just kind of just like told you this is happening now. Now this is happening now.
I don't like that.
I didn't either. And I don't even understand how that book was so successful other than the fact that it was based on a true story, which we all found out wasn't true.
Yeah.
So to me, it just wasn't scary at all. I would not recommend that book. And it just
sometimes haunted house books are like hard to read in general.
There's so many of them too.
So many.
What's your favorite haunted house book?
To be honest with you, I don't even have a favorite haunted house book. Because I don't really read very many of those.
Oh, really? Mm-mm. I just
That's like not really my thing.
Okay.
Like movie wise, like visualizing it, like in a movie, I like that. But in my books, I don't. Like I'm saying, like haunted houses don't scare me. That type of thing doesn't scare me. So like I'm not interested in reading that because I already know I'm not going to get that feeling.
That's interesting.
And I won't waste my time going into it knowing I'm not going to get that feeling, if that makes sense.
What if someone were to tell you, hey, this is a really good haunted house book. I think you're going to like it. Would you actually give it a chance, or do you just know because it's a haunted house book, you're not going to?
I probably wouldn't.
Okay.
To be honest, I probably wouldn't.
That's fine. We all have our things that we're into and we're not into.
Like one book, I feel like one of the scariest books I read, and to me, because it's so like, this book gave me a feeling of like, I felt confused, I felt broken down, I felt scared during this book, and it's called The Butterfly Garden.
It sounds very harmless.
It does. Okay, right?
It traps you.
Somebody recommended this book to me during COVID, and I was like, yeah, I have all the time in the world to read right now. So I read this book, and this book is about a man, dude. He's a rich man, and he collects underage girls, right? He like kidnaps them, but he has a lot of money, and he's a very well-known man. And he had built a little garden in his home, like his little mansion. It's like a giant area where all these girls live. They're like 16, like 15, and he tattoos like butterfly wings on their back. And like he has names for them. They have separate rooms. They can't like escape. And to me, that book had me so messed up. And it's like after he dies, like he'll encase them in like acrylic, and like he has like his walls are filled with these like dead girls with
like a chrysalis almost. Or?
Yeah. And it's like, dude, I know it doesn't sound like it's that scary, but it will have you so fucked up in the head from reading it.
That's honestly where I find true horror is the stuff that kind of makes you think about like, what are humans really capable of?
Yes. You'll feel sick.
I hate that when you're just so uncomfortable, you start crying.
Yes. And that's how I felt. Like I was like, oh, if that was me, dude. That's how I pictured myself reading this. If that was me, it got me so messed up that I thought about it for 3 days after. That's
how you know it's effective.
And I would try to like read into things, and this is a story, it's not even real,
but someone thought of it. Someone actually like had to create this entire plot. But
it was like 3 days later, Tara, I had to pick it back up and read it again because I thought, did I miss something? Like something doesn't seem right. So I read it all over again. I've read this book 6 times. When I need to feel something, I will read that.
That's intense.
I will read that.
Is it based off of anything, or is it just this wild story that someone came up with?
Wild story. Actually, that author that I gave you, The Roses of May, that's like a same author that wrote.
Sarah gave me a pile of books, by the way, to go through, which I'm telling you guys right now, I'm a very slow reader. Also, I want to point out, I recently read a scary book again. I don't really read very often, but now that I've read this year at least once, I'm officially a professional.
We're excited for her.
So actually the butterfly thing you're talking about kind of reminds me of that. I think it was a Russian person that we talked about before, the doll maker.
Yes.
That kind of gives me vibes off of that.
Yes.
Not saying the author. Yeah. I'm not saying that the author saw that story and made the story based on it, but it's just, maybe someone out there did something similar that inspired them. Like something's inspired by everything is inspired by something.
Like I love to read books too that like have to deal with Stockholm syndrome, dude. I don't know what it is, but those books fuck me up so bad, dude, that I just like.
Well, it's
when I read those books, like I cry and like I'm yelling at these people because I'm like, what are you doing? What?
Well, it's that sense of like that morbid curiosity too, you know, and like the real life scenarios, and it's
yes,
okay, yeah, that's a different kind of horror altogether.
For example, I know this isn't a horror book, right? But to me, it is horror, right? It's called Torment, and there's a 2-part of it, and it's like this guy that is obsessed with his stepsister, like in love with his stepsister. But he becomes so obsessive, and it becomes so scary to me. But I have these feelings because she justifies her feelings for him, and I'm like, no, girlfriend.
Oh, like, so she's like got the Stockholm Syndrome thing going? Yes. Well, because it gets to a point, too, where they can manipulate them to do anything.
Yes,
you know?
And that's all this book is. It's like, this is so messed up, dude.
That's what cults terrify me.
Yes.
And it's kind of very similar. I mean, like it's different because you're brainwashed, whereas Stockholm, I feel like, is more like your brain tricks yourself into surviving. But that whole brainwashing in general is a terrifying thought.
Oh, yeah.
Because it can happen to anybody, and it's so effective. You know, all it takes is just a one weak person or someone who's vulnerable in their lives and the right talker to bring them in, or, you know, trick them into thinking that they're in a better situation than they were before.
And that's what's messed up, too, because cult leaders are just, like, so good with their words. Man. Yeah. And they're so convincing.
Look at Jim Jones. You know, a lot of it's not even so much the words, just how they present themselves.
I would hope that if I got in a situation like that I wouldn't be persuaded. I would like to think that.
Right. Well, that's what they all say is like, I've never would have been a person to do this, and they just happen to catch me at the right time saying the right things, and I feel like it's all downhill from there.
But it's like when I think about other things in my life, I'd be like, oh yeah, I was pretty like convinced, like not knowing a lot about that situation, or like, oh, like I didn't really do my research on that, and I believed in that. So,
and that's the thing. Like, They target a very specific person too. You know, like when you're reading a book like that, I'm sure that a lot of the times the character they're writing about relates to you a lot because that's how characters are written. But in real life, you know, it's someone could go to a bar and they're looking for a person that looks down on their luck or whatever, and like, hey, I've got a better opportunity for you. Obviously not worded like that,
yes,
but they know how to approach it. So when you have an author that takes a character that is manipulative like that and they write them so beautifully, it's a successful book, but it's a terrifying experience that you're going through.
That book made me cry so hard that I had like boogers coming out of my nose.
I kind of want to check it out now. I've got a while before I get there, but
when you do, Tara, be ready for it because it will. I wish I never read it. I gave it.
I don't know about that.
I gave it 5 stars because I loved it so much. But I will never pick it up again. That was like, remember in the group text the other day when I was like, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm like unwell. Like my mental state is not good.
So you would say that psychological torment is more what you would see as a scary story?
Yes, because to me that is so terrifying.
I haven't read too many, so I can't really say much about
You're gonna need to at least one.
I'm dipping my toes in the pages of scary books, so we're gonna get there soon enough.
Yes.
I personally I'm a sucker for a good haunted house story. That's why it's primarily what I've read. Funny enough, I don't really like haunted house movies. I feel like they're all the same. They're all the same exact jump scares, the same exact like lighting.
That's funny.
I don't like scary like haunted house movies, but I'll read all the haunted house books until I find one I really like.
I think it's funny because I'm like the complete opposite on that.
Absolutely.
That's funny.
Which I actually just read Hell House by Richard Matheson, who he's the same author that wrote I Am Legend. I read that one in high school and I really enjoyed it then.
Okay.
That's got a gnarly ending, by the way. So I Am Legend does. But with Hell House, which I just read, that one's a haunted house book, but it's more of a house that has a lot of, it has an evil past, I guess you can say. And then these 3 people are sent in to do an investigation to figure out if there really are ghosts. Like, is there proof? The whole idea is they're trying to prove if there's life after death. So they're commissioned to do that. And they all have different views about what happens. I'm not trying to spoil it either. This is just, the first few chapters. No, not really, because it's the first few chapters. One of the main characters, his name is Lionel Barrett. He is a parapsychologist, and he thinks that ghosts aren't real. It's just all energy based on like events,
Okay.
There's a mental medium, like the person that like can, sense someone's in the room. And then there's a physical medium, the person that sits at like a seance and like the ghost talks through him. He is also the only survivor of the last attempt to investigate the house. So he's got like a pass with this house. So all 3 of them plus one more are in the house for a week. And basically, I think it's really effective in a lot of ways because it doesn't necessarily do typical haunted house tropes, but it has really effective jump scares, which I didn't know was really possible in books. There's one part, it made me so uncomfortable. I had to put it down, and we were in our hotel room, and then the bathroom light turned on by itself, and I'm like, this can't be happening right now.
You got scared, didn't you?
I was terrified.
I believe that.
So I'm really happy with that one, and I think it had a solid ending. It honestly kind of felt more like a mystery after a while, with a couple of good jump scares in there. It makes me just want to read more, and I'm really excited about it. So I have Haunting of Hill House next, which you told me to buy.
That one is good, though. That one is good.
I haven't seen the TV show. I actually attempted to watch the TV show on a flight to New York, and I was so bored by the second episode that I couldn't.
Ooh, you said I can't do
Everyone
this.
says it's so good, and I just couldn't get into it. So I'm going to read the book, and then I'm going to give the TV show another shot. With that aside, because I mean, I haven't read as much as you have, clearly. You're a bookworm. What are your favorite scary books of all time? Or I know that it's hard to like...
Of all time.
Or your like 5-star ones, I guess you could call it that.
5-star. We already talked about this one, Butterfly Garden. You need to read that. Anyone out there listening, you need to read that, first and foremost. And then The Shuddering was another 5-star I had. It didn't give me that feeling, but it was so descriptive in like the monsters and like how the characters were feeling and how scared they were. That was very good. Like I could picture it in my head, and I like that. So I was like, that's another 5-star. I really like It. That's always been one of my favorite. I should have brought you that. Yes.
No, I'm not going to read that one anytime soon. It's so long. It
is so long, but it is so good.
You know what's a damn good Stephen King book? And I'm sure everyone knows this. I'm just going to state this really quick. Pet Sematary.
Oh yeah, Pet Sematary. The
ending is terrifying. Okay, and obviously, like if you've seen the movie, it's not the exact same as the book, but if you've seen the movie, like you know what happens and everything like that. But just it's so much. Sorry, I'm so excited.
No, I love that.
It's so much better in the book because it almost leaves it up to your imagination.
Yes.
You know, whereas the movie, they have to add that one last little bit, and it's like, no, it was better because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yes, when you can use your imagination, it's so much better.
Yeah.
It's so much more scary.
That's something I'm learning is imagination. Like, there's a way to do it that's effective versus, like, using it as a cop-out.
Yes. But if you're into, like, because Stephen King, like, I know, like, so many people, like, don't want to read his books when they aren't, like, big readers because they are so long. Like, you know what I mean? But if you get a chance, it's, like, a small read. Like, I think it's like 300 pages, maybe a little less.
I thought
maybe a little more.
Wait, are we talking about Pet Sematary or It?
No, I'm talking about a Stephen King book, Carrie. If you ever read Carrie,
I'm so sorry. I was jumping the gun.
Read Carrie because it's an easy read and it's small. It's not one of his like large, long, drawn out
6-inch
novels,
thick,
dude.
And not to mention, we were just at Barnes & Noble last week. It's like 3 shelves of Stephen King books.
Yes.
And there's, my husband just read The Green Mile. Is that it?
Yes.
And Stephen King wrote that, but he wrote it in like, it's one book, but it's divided into like 6, it might even be 10 little books of like, 60 pages each or something like that. And so it's easy for you to break up if you don't want to read a full like giant book, you know?
Because
you don't feel the commitment.
Are gnarly, dude. Yeah. They're long.
He's got the long ones, and then he's all, I'm having a new appreciation for Stephen King.
But I love Stephen King books.
Yeah, you've preached about him for a while.
Stephen King is an interesting human being.
He's definitely weird.
He is very odd.
But, it takes an odd person to be I guess an artist is the way you would want to word it, because your brain does have to work a little bit differently. You have to be, I don't want to necessarily say obsessive, but you have to be obsessive of your craft too.
Yes. Well, his son wrote The Black Phone, the short story, right? Stephen King's son.
Did he really?
I think it was Stephen King's son.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so I might be wrong. We'll have to look that up. But I wanted to say that I did read that Stephen King's son is the one who wrote the short story.
That's wild. Good for him.
So I was like, that's crazy that you have like an influence. You know what I mean? His dad writes horror and like he's writing.
He's obviously going to get in
that's
there.
Cool.
Yeah.
He did great.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like it's successful in every, I contemplated buying it, but left it alone.
Did you didn't read it?
No, I
wanted to read it because it's like only 80 pages.
The one I was looking at was longer.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe they just released like sometimes they take movies and they change it into a book.
Yes.
Like they basically take the script and make a book out of it. That might have been what it was.
Because I thought it was like very, very small.
No, this was definitely like at least 250 to 300 pages.
That is not a short story.
No, not at all. That's why I was confused when you said short story. I'm like, I guess for Stephen King, that's kind of a short story. But what was some other, I guess one more before we clock out. One more like 5-star on your end.
one more 5-star. Let's see.
Or just like your favorite story from when you were a child or anything like that.
Ooh, from when I was a child? Goosebumps for sure. You want to know what my favorite book was from Goosebumps, though?
You mean wasn't The Werewolf?
No.
Okay.
That's what's so funny is my favorite one, besides The Mask was more my favorite, like, show.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't my favorite book. My favorite book was Don't Look in the Basement.
That was my favorite show. I never read the book.
Oh, I love that story.
That was, I think, the first one.
Yes.
Wasn't it? Yeah,
and
that
Say
was.
Cheese and Die. As a kid, I loved that one. And then Stay Out of the Basement, Say Cheese and Die.
What was it about Say Cheese and Die that you liked?
I love that. It was like a Polaroid, dude, that like you took a picture and then it showed your death. That's scary to me.
It is pretty scary.
If that printed out, I would like...
Well, especially as a kid, you don't really think about stuff like that. And then someone tells you, like, oh, I'm going to take a picture and show you how you're going to die. Like, it all of a sudden puts a new idea in a child's mind.
Yes,
so.
I don't know if you read, and now that I'm thinking about 5 stars, I don't know if you read these Goosebumps books, and I don't even remember what they're called, and I'm so mad.
I wish you guys could see Sarah right now because she's, like, jittering with excitement.
I'm pissed because these Goosebumps books were so good. It was the ones where you got to choose like where it was going. And it's like you made your own choice. Yeah. And I loved it because it's like you got bang for your buck for those books. And like, you got more stories than just one.
You're like, I don't want to do this choice today. I'm going to do this choice instead. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I loved them.
I completely even forgot about those until you said that
those
right now.
Those were tight.
Yeah, I remember that specifically. That's funny.
I just remember being excited. Like, yes, I get to make a choice.
Do they? I mean, like, is that one? Have you...
I've never read another book like it.
I was going to say like an adult version. I'm sure that there's probably more of those than there are kid versions.
I don't know, but now that we're talking about it, I kind of want to look into that because that is something I would be interested in reading.
I guarantee I mean, there's tons of choose your own adventures. Like you should be able to find one that's like a full novel or at least like, you know, scary one. A decent, what are they called? Novella?
Yeah, a novella.
Novella. I like the word, but... Well, and then hopefully next time it'll be Dead Wrath and Beyond. But with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please comment below.
Also, all your book recs, dude. Let's get those in the comment.
All right, guys. With that being said, have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.